Welcome to Rhyme City, a celebration of the harmony between humans and Pokemon.
Tim, your dad was a legend in this precinct. If you were anything like your dad...
I'm not.
I remember. You wanted to be a Pokemon trainer when you were young.
Yeah, that didn't really work out. Someone there? Whoever you are, I know how to use this.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
I know, you can't understand me, but put down the stapler or I will electrocute you.
Did you just talk?
Whoa. Did you just understand me?
Oh my God, you can understand me.
Stop.
I've been so lonely.
They try to talk to me all the time. All they hear is Pika Pika.
You can hear him, right?
Pika Pika! Yeah, Pika Pika Pika, he's adorable.
You're adorable. They can't understand me, kid.
Can no one else hear him? I don't need a Pokemon, period.
Then what about a world-class detective? Because if you want to find your pops, I'm your best bet.
We're gonna do this. You and me.
There's magic that brought us together, and that magic is called hope. Listen up. We got ways to make you talk. Or mime.
Yeah.
So tell us what we want to know. Pipe. Yes. Okay. I can. Shoving. Pushing. My problem is that I push people away and then hate them for leaving.
He's saying you can shove it.
What? I can shove it? Okay, that's it. No, we're switching roles. I'm bad cop. You're good cop.
No, we're not cops.
In my head, I saw that differently.
I mean, like what? Like what? That's crazy. Yo, Mr. Botman, how are you tonight? Welcome to Stuff and Things, episode 9, where we're going to talk about movies, bad, weird, strange movies. If you have any, throw them out there. We can talk about them. That was the Detective Pikachu preview that's probably going to be muted. And I'll have to take out when I upload it to YouTube. But, yeah. This is going to be interesting. Well, I hope so. That's the whole point, is it's going to be interesting. So, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Detective Pikachu preview that I've now watched twice in the last 20 minutes. I didn't know they were making something of that nature, and I didn't know that Ryan Reynolds was the voice of Pikachu. And I feel I feel like after Ryan Reynolds has played Deadpool twice, him voicing another character that's tamer might leave people a little disappointed. And I know that's a petty thing, but it's like, oh man, he's not crass, he's not doing this and that, because it's a Pikachu Pokemon movie. Pardon me. So, yeah, I don't know. It was odd. But let's get to the main topic at hand. Bad, weird, strange, whatever, movies. I am not one that usually walks out of movies or turns them off. I like to see them through to the end, even if I fall asleep or whatever. So, when I do walk out of a movie, or I turn it off, it's a big, okay, definitely a movie that I am not a fan of. I think the first movie that I walked out of as an adult was Battlefield Earth. And it was playing as a double feature at the what was it, $3 cinema, the moving picture cinema down the road from where I lived And so I don't remember what the first movie was, but Battlefield Earth started, and I think we got 20 minutes in, and both me and my buddy were like, no, we're done. I almost fell asleep in every movie you watch. I do that too. I have a habit of going to the theater and falling asleep for 5 minutes in the middle of it, and then waking up and having no problem staying awake the rest of the movie. So, I understand. I get it. And of course, it's usually during some action sequence or something that's important, and then I wake up and I'm like, cool, I missed a big piece of the puzzle. Good times. Battlefield Earth. I originally walked out of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but I was in a different place in my brain back then. And I was with a whole group of people who could not appreciate it anyways, even without... even if I had... Because I rewatched it later in life and really enjoyed it and really found it a fascinating piece of art. But I was with the wrong people who didn't have the patience or the understanding for it. I was in a weird place in my brain when we went and watched it, so I really didn't care for it the first time. But the second time I watched it, I really liked it. I thought it was very well done, and I'm looking forward to watching the show that Michel Gondry and Jim Carrey did for Showtime. But I'm going to have to wait for that one to come out on some other form of media, because we do not have Showtime. What else? What else have I turned off The Human Centipede, started watching that, and that just got way too depraved way too fast. And I'm a horror movie guy. I love horror movies. This is my thing. I don't get scared by most horror movies. Every once in a while one will come along that is, makes my skin crawl. But for the most part they're pretty cheesy. But I like them. I like to watch them. Human Centipede, no. Nope. Too much. Too much. It was ridiculous. In terms of weird movies, probably one of the weirdest movies that I've ever seen is Annihilation. That was a very bizarre movie. Now, I don't want to say too much because it's a newer movie, and so I have theories about the ending and stuff like that, but it was a fascinating movie to me. But it was very, very odd. Very odd movie. Another one that would fall in line with one of those ones that kind of makes you tilt your head to the side. Like, okay, I think I get it and what's happening and all that, is Hereditary. That movie was messed up and crazy. And so here's the thing. A lot of these very odd concept movies, I wouldn't necessarily... I don't know if I like them or not sometimes. Hereditary was that way. I'm going to have to watch it again to see if I liked it or not, because I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. Another one that was like that, Mother. I came out of watching Mother going, what literally, that's how it was. That's how it was. And so I need to watch that one again. But the thing about Mother that a lot of people don't understand is it's an allegory. And allegories are not really used anymore in the United States, at least. And so, the concept of a story being kind of like the facade in front, that the visualizations are telling a completely different story than what you're really seeing on screen. So you're seeing this bizarre sequence of events, but if you look at them in the allegorical sense that they were meant to be looked at, you see everything that's right behind that and what is really happening. And it's fascinating. But again, I still don't know if I liked that movie or not. Then we get to we get to movies like Anaconda, and Deep Blue Sea, and a lot of the cheesier creature features. And I'm not gonna go into Sharknado, because we all know Sharknado is Sharknado for the sake of Sharknado, and it will always be Sharknado. First of all, how awesome of a job would it be to write a movie like, okay, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna write a movie about sharks getting caught in tornadoes, and then those shark tornado sharks, they are killing people. And go. Oh, and P.S. you can be as cheesy and ridiculous as you want to. That would be so much fun. Are you kidding me? That would be amazing. So, but I'm not talking about Sharknado. And here's the thing about these cheap, ridiculous movies. Anaconda, Deep Blue Sea, Deep Rising is another one. I like them. I'm a fan. They entertain me. Pony, hey man, I love me some Sharknado. Yes, Sharknado. I like creature features. They're a lot of fun, even if they're the cheesiest things ever. There was a movie that was done of the book The Relic by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child, and the movie did not do it justice. I've been trying actually to write a screenplay based off of the book The Relic, and I've gotten a little ways into it. And I like it. But they took out one of the central characters for the movie, and he ended up being the person that they stuck with. Like, he was one of the main characters that they stuck with through a whole series of books that they've done. And so they took him out in the movie, which was a shame, in my opinion. Pardon me. Ooh. But that was one of those cheesy, just B-movie adaptations. A lot of Stephen King novels and short stories and stuff like that become, the made-for-TV movies and stuff like that. They did The Langoliers, was a Stephen King. Silver Bullet. What was it? Riding the Bullet? I think Riding the Bullet. Something like that. Anyways, a lot of them become those TV movies or just something that they kind of throw out there, and here's the straight to video, which is a shame because there's so much depth within Stephen King's work. Speaking of, I'm reading through the Dark Tower series. And the fact that they did a 90-ish minute movie that was supposed to encompass the whole series makes no logical sense at all. It needs to be a series, like American Gods is a series, or Mr. Mercedes is a series, or Fargo is a series now. Those kind of things. It would fit within that. You could tell the stories. You could tell a book a season, basically. And, that would be like if they took all the Game of Thrones, all the George R.R. Martin books, and threw it into an hour-and-a-half long movie. It's too expansive to do something like that. And so, doing that, I loved Idris Elba as the gunslinger. I thought that was an awesome casting choice. It was fantastic. But they just, they skipped over so much, and they had to do... There's so much that's unexplained in the movie. And so many nuances that needed to be fleshed out. It was disappointing. I was disappointed in that one. And then you get movies like Rampage, which is just pure entertainment. Cheesy entertainment. I like those movies a lot of times when I'm tired or my brain is on overdrive. And I'm like, okay, I gotta calm my brain down. I just gotta watch something that I don't even really have to think about. I'll turn on a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. That, San Andreas. Excuse me, my goodness. But I do have to say they did a great job with the new Jumanji. That movie's hilarious. And so, Dwayne Johnson kind of makes me think of somebody. I imagine he gets pitched ideas for these action movies and these crazy, ridiculous movies. And he's like, that sounds fun. I'm in. Which I respect 100%. A lot of people are like, why would you ever do a movie like that? And it's blah, blah, blah. And my thought, which I would venture to guess is Mr. Johnson's thought, is because it would be fun. I would love to to be in a big scale action movie would be awesome. Doesn't matter how cheesy it is. You get to be in one. Nice. So I think I guess that would be his kind of thought process. Is okay. I'm gonna fight a skyscraper. All right, sounds fun. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of other movies that have just. If you out there have any movies that you think are terrible, Pony, I know you think that most of the Marvel movies are terrible, so we can just. Oh, cool! Look at that. I'm dropping frames like crazy. I've been dropping frames all day today. Am I freezing on? It looks like I am freezing. Like I'm watching myself right now. Can you guys hear me right now? Or do I keep freezing while I'm talking? Because if that's happening, I'm gonna have to do this another time, and I'll come back at 7:30 and do my normal stream. But I'm gonna have to do a bunch of stuff in order to make sure that it's working properly for that. If anybody's out there can hear me, or maybe not, I don't know, because I'm dropping a lot of frames, like almost 25% of the frames are being dropped, and it keeps going. It keeps rising. The number keeps rising, and yeah, I don't know, man. This is crazy. All right. If nobody is having a problem with this at all, I can continue. You are, but it's not as bad as earlier. Definitely okay. All right, thanks, FQ. Okay, I will check it. Absolutely, as soon as I'm done with this. But okay, so let's get back to talking about movies. Again, if anybody out there has any movies they think are just terrible or ridiculous or weird or they didn't get, I've got a couple of them that didn't go to the theaters as far as I'm aware, but they definitely fall under the category of weird movies. One is The Zero Theorem, and that's a Terry Gilliam film, and Christoph Waltz is the main character, and it is a futuristic movie where he is, it's so weird, difficult to explain exactly what he's doing, but it's some job that he has, and he starts to question the validity of his job, and if, he is just doing it because they're telling him to do it, or if it's a job that actually matters, that kind of stuff. But it's very bizarre and very interesting. And the other one that I was thinking of is Predestination. Predestination is with Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke? I think it's Ethan Hawke, yeah. And that one is, I can't even say much about it because it would give away too much of what's going on in the movie. But it's kind of a time travel-ish type of idea. And it is very bizarre, and at the end of the movie, you're going, wait, what? What? Let's see here. FQ says, World War Z. It's supposed to be scary, yet they represented it wrong, in my opinion. All right. Fair enough. I liked World War Z. I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done, but, everybody has their opinions and what they think is good and what they don't think is good. And, You know, I used to be that person who was like, "What, you didn't like this movie? How could you?" Or I'm gonna turn you in for crimes against humanity. But now I'm like, yeah, no. People aren't all gonna like all the movies that I like, and I'm not gonna like all the movies that other people like. I give you a shout out in the Discord. Try and get some extra views. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, FQ. We're trying to get. Welcome, Kleptical. How are you doing tonight? Hope you're well. I think my favorite scene in World War Z was when they landed in the dark in the plane. I thought that scene was very well done. But I know a lot of people, and I understand, and it was kind of cheesy, the whole when the Horde would attack, and it looked 100% like late 1990s CGI. I mean, they couldn't really do that without making it look real, and so I get that takes away definitely from the factor of, you know, the intensity and stuff like that, because you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But yes, the Pokemon movie, we were talking about that Detective Pikachu. Ryan Reynolds playing Pikachu. So I wasn't expecting. I'm not a huge Pokemon person. I grew up, and by the time that Pokemon started coming out, really, and became a popular thing in the States, I was older, and so I never was like, oh, okay, yeah, Pokemon. But yeah, I like Ryan Reynolds, and I don't know. Although I want him to be Pikachu with Deadpool's sense of humor, so I don't know if I'll probably be disappointed if I go into the movie thinking and hoping for that. But my favorite was when the zombie starts biting air after he injects the sickness into him, and the zombie was biting air. I only liked it because it was weird. All right, fair enough. Yeah, there are a lot of movies out there that are just bizarre, and some of them I think really work, and some of them I think it's just like, no, you missed the mark. But I've talked about this before also, is even to make a movie is such a difficult thing. There's so many pieces and components that even like the most ridiculous movie that's just terrible and nobody likes it, and even that movie takes a tremendous amount of work just to get accomplished. So, you know, everybody who works on movies, whether they're cheesy or Oscar winners or anything like that, they work hard. And so I respect everybody who's making the movies, but it's just some of them are not good. So I am still dropping frames. This is unfortunate. Come on. Man. So, Kleptical, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's see. So with movies, I can go down so many rabbit holes and get so lost. But, okay, let's talk about sequels. Why not? Sequels used to be a joke. Like, just, and to an extent, they still can be a joke. But sequels, with the exception of certain sequels, like, you know, the Alien movies and the Terminator movies, the first couple, and stuff like that, with the exception of those rare ones, when I was growing up, you would get like the big movie, and it was great, and everybody, and then all of a sudden the second movie came out, and the same character is in the movie played by different actors, and it happened all the time. Now the movie studios have figured out a better way to, you know, get the contracts. So it's like, if we do this, you know, multiples of these movies, you agree to be in them and stuff like that, which is awesome and is very helpful. But yeah, it used to be ridiculous. Like, this person doesn't even look remotely like the other person who was in the first movie, and now I can't think of it as that. Okay, so it's funny because it automated you because you said Sausage Party. But I know that that's a movie, so... yeah. Finally! Sausage Party. Okay, that was one that I lasted almost through the opening song. And I was like, no. I couldn't. I couldn't do it. I just felt... Because here's the thing. I have no problem with crass humor. I love movies that's like their staple throughout. But sometimes I feel like they're trying too hard to be as crass as possible without the comedy mixed in with it. Sausage Party was one. Another one that I thought did that was Your Highness. I thought that one, I was just like, it just felt like they were trying too hard. It's like a sitcom on television where you know that every line that they're saying is just a setup for a punchline. And we were trying to watch the show The Cool Kids, and we made it 5 minutes into that show because every single line, and it's produced by Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So we were like, yeah, it should be funny. As you get further, it's funnier for mature audiences. I didn't like the beginning, but liked it as it continued. Okay, fair enough. The movie Basketball. Oh my gosh. I think I've seen that movie once. And I thought it was pretty funny. But again, I haven't seen it in a long time, so I'd have to watch that one again. They tried way too hard on that one. Yeah, it's a lot of times, and that's the thing. And then you get just gems. Like, I use Dumb and Dumber, the first Dumb and Dumber, as an example of what makes a good comedy when it's a kind of that dumber, stupid humor, like people, toilet humor, that kind of stuff. And what it is you can have zany characters in your movie. If you're doing a parody or whatever, that's fine. If you're doing a spoof on other movies, you get Airplane, you've got Hot Shots, you've got Top Secret, you've got The Naked Gun, where they're parodies of other movies and stuff like that, then, your characters are pretty much going to be zany. But you have to have the straight characters. You have to have the characters that are thrust into this crazy, wacky world and are trying to act normal. And what that does is it allows for the quirky, weird characters, like in Dumb and Dumber. You've got Harry and Lloyd, and they're insane. And they are ridiculous. And everything they do and say is like, no way. No, people don't act this way. This is ridiculous. Every other character, hashtag spoof. Sharknado, yes. Sharknado. We keep circling back to Sharknado. So in Dumb and Dumber, you've got Harry and Lloyd, who are the crazy, wacky characters, just dumb characters. And then you get the people around them that are coming after them. And they're just trying to do their job. And they get caught up in all of the hijinks. And it makes it so much funnier than if they were weird and had weird quirks like the two main characters. So if you watch Dumb and Dumber, and then you watch Dumb and Dumber When Harry Met Lloyd, you can see this difference. Because in When Harry Met Lloyd, every character is weird and has this weird, creepy or comical quirkiness about them. And so there's nobody that you can latch onto in the film. Because you're like, none of these characters are real. There's, it's not built on anything solid. It's built on, let's make this character zany, and this character zany, and this character zany. which can work for certain jokes and can work for short periods of time. But if you have that straight character in your film or characters, then you have somebody to play off of, and it helps the comedy a lot better. The Three Stooges, yes. Yeah, Three Stooges are good. Lava-lantula. I have not heard that one. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Lava-lantula. So like you get 40-Year-Old Virgin. That's another example. Where Steve Carell is the main character and he plays the straight character. He's the character that's trying to just go through his life, and then his buddies come in and are like, nope, we're changing things. Things are going to change around here. But he's the straight character in the movie. So you get that, you know, it makes it funnier when things are crazy around a person who is just trying to exist. Because it's like, it's a kind of that series of unfortunate events where you're like, all I wanted to do was go to the grocery store, and then this happened. And I met these crazy people that you're not going to believe. You know, if you think about it from a standpoint of after the story from the movie is over, them telling their friends about the craziness, like, you're not going to believe this. And then this guy, these two guys sat down at a counter with another guy they were talking, and then they put some red chili peppers into the guy's burger, and the guy keeled over, and they gave him some heart medication, and he died. And, you know, like telling the straight people in the movie telling the story afterwards, if they survive, of course. But Lava-lantula is made by the same people who made Sharknado. It's tarantulas, this time with lava. That's amazing. Oh man, I was saying earlier that I would love to have a job where they're like, okay, we have sharks and we have tornadoes, and we're going to throw them together, and the sharks are going to attack people through use of tornado. And you can be as cheesy and ridiculous as you want writing it. That's awesome. Because it's like, okay, I can just throw in random ridiculous jokes, and it's expected. It's an expected outcome based on that concept. And the fact it's on the Sci-Fi Channel. Because they love their cheesy creature features. For sure. See, I'm in a rabbit hole. I rabbit holed and then leapt to another one. I was talking about sequels. Now, of course, a lot of times sequels are based on the revenue that the first one makes or the second one makes. And so that's why you have, I think it's 74 pointless Transformer movies at this point. I like the first one. The first one was entertaining. I thought they did it well. And then it just went downhill immediately. The Pirates of the Caribbean movies, I enjoy them. First one definitely was the best. I mean, you know, you're getting all the surprises and these new characters and stuff like that. And so you're learning who they are, which helps. But I did enjoy all of the Pirates movies. I don't know if I've seen the last one. I can't remember. I think I did. I think I watched the last one. That's always a good sign, right? When you're like, I think I saw that movie. I can't remember it, though. John Wick and John Wick 2. Dude, those movies are awesome. Yep. John Wick and John Wick 2. Great movies. And here's what's crazy about the first John Wick. Now, I have to say this without spoiling anything, really. But the way that they portrayed the escalation of events through the trailer for the first movie made it seem like a ridiculous concept. And so I went and saw the movie, and my wife didn't go see it with me because she was like, because of the trailer. And I watched it and I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense. Of course this would be what would happen. based on, you know. So I'm not one that likes to spoil things, but I mean, if the movie's over 10 years old or something, then I will talk more freely about it because it's been out for over 10 years, and I don't expect anybody to like, oh, you know, Nico hasn't seen it, so, you know, this movie from the 1900s. But yeah, they were made really well. The action sequences in those movies were fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know John Wick was a movie until like season 5 of Fortnite, and I put together there was his house, the skin, and someone telling me. Ha! That is great. Yeah, John Wick kind of, at first, I think people were very skeptical of it, and then people started watching it, and they're like, okay, this is a legit action movie. Okay, another weird movie that I actually enjoyed was Hardcore Henry. And it's like a first-person shooter, the whole movie. You are seeing the entire movie through the eyes of the main character. And so you move with them, you get thrown into walls with them, all this kind of stuff. And it was a very interesting concept, and I was very skeptical, and then somebody bought it. I have a Voodoo account, which is like an electronic library of movies, and we have a lot. But we have people who contribute to the list that are a part. They can watch all the movies, stuff like that. And somebody bought Hardcore Henry, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch it since I have it now. And I was entertained. And it's a very odd concept. It really is. Then I bought movie 1 and 2 and loved them both. Yes. Yep. I'm a big fan of the John Wick movies. Baba Yaga. Let's see here. I was going to talk about something else, and then it escaped my brain. We were talking about John Wick, and we were talking about Hardcore Henry, and then if you guys have any other weird, crazy... So you're telling me it is a good movie? I have Netflix, but keep going over it when I see... I enjoyed it. I'm not necessarily saying it was a great movie or anything. I want to watch it again just to get... Because I was skeptical as I was watching it the first time, which might have helped. But it was a very interesting movie. It's if you're a movie person, it's one that you definitely would want to watch, just in terms of the perspective that they give and stuff like that. But it's pretty much a video game, the whole movie. It's like an hour and a half long cinematic cutscene, basically, is what it is. Just, with real life human people. But it's very interesting. It's very entertaining. Ready Player One. Oh, okay, let's talk about book adaptations. Because book adaptations, most of the time, do not live up to the expectations. Case in point, like I was talking about earlier, The Dark Tower. Where they took 7 books. And they went, let's make it into a movie that's 1.5 hours long. I'm reading through the Dark Tower books right now, and there's so much going on in those books that it needs to be a series. Other book adaptations, Jurassic Park did it right. They changed certain things that they needed to change in order to allow the story to flow better. And I mean, the movie is still 2 hours and 7 minutes long, and they cut out so much of the book. And they did it great. Case in point, Harry Potter books versus movies. The movies got better as they went along, in my opinion. But, because, okay, I came from the side of I watched the movies first. And then I read the books. And then I watched the movies again. And the movies deteriorated after reading the books. Some of the stuff they took out, some of the stuff that they ignored, I thought was important, actually, and they just kind of skimmed past it or didn't mention it in the movies. So, but I felt like they got better towards the end of the run, and I enjoyed the movies. They're fun. They're fun to watch, and you get immersed in them and stuff. But yeah, the books definitely. Another adaptation, The Hunger Games. I thought they did really well. The Hunger Games, the books were definitely young adult, written for young adult, because I'm reading the books, as a writer, you notice certain things sometimes, and her writing is not the best, but her storytelling is great. So her storytelling is what brings you into the whole universe, and her writing lacks a lot in places, but obviously it did the job. It's, the books sold millions of copies, and they made it into a giant franchise, and so who am I to say? And then, of course, there is the personal connection of The Shack that was adapted into a movie a couple years ago. And the book came out in 2007, and there were movie studios always interested, Sony being one of the bigger ones that was interested. And Lionsgate ended up getting it, and they filmed it in Canada, and they got good actors, and they had a budget. It wasn't a small budget, and I thought they did pretty good with the movie. The only issue that I have is, and I love Sam Worthington as an actor. I think he is a good actor. The problem is when he does his American accent, he slips out of it every once in a while. And for me, a person who does voices, and I know when I slip out of a voice and stuff like that, it bugs me because I hear it a lot more than other people do. And so if I'm watching a scene and he slips into his Australian accent for a word or part of a word, I get distracted. And so I think that he did a great job in the movie, and the emotion that he can get on his face is astounding. Like, there's so many people that try to get the depth of emotion that he had in that movie, and it looks cheesy and ridiculous. But his facial expressions, I thought, were really well done. The Outsiders book versus movie, I have not seen either, or I have not read nor seen. A book that is 100 times better than the movie. Again, we were talking about Stephen King adaptations. Dark Tower, one of them. But most Stephen King adaptations are just... Even The Shining. Stephen King notoriously hated The Shining, the movie. And after reading the book, I can understand why. But, and it was because they took a lot of the information from the book that was very important, and they changed the tone for the movie, and the tone and style and nuances from the book. And so I can understand his frustration with the movie adaptation. But you get a lot of those smaller, Salem's Lot, and but then you get ones like Carrie, and Pet Sematary is very cheesy, but I like to watch it every once in a while. And they're doing a remake. So we'll see what they do with the remake. It looks interesting. The original TV movie miniseries that they did, I watched that. It was cheesy. A lot of people I know were like, no, it was legit. And I'm like, well, you were also a kid when it came out and you watched it. So, yeah, creepy clown when you're a kid, yeah, that'll scar you a little bit. The book is so good, it's required to read in school now. Gotcha. You have to read the book, then watch the movie and compare them to see differences. And why reading books can be important, it's like that at a lot of schools now. Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. I think it's honestly to read a book and then watch the movie and see what's changed, if the changes worked, if they didn't work, what they could have done differently. And it helps you kind of have more of an analytical mindset about things. And seeing the differences and the nuances and everything. I thought the new It adaptation was really well done. I know a lot of people thought it was cheesy or whatever, but I thought it was really well done. And because I like to kind of throw myself into a movie, and I like to immerse myself in it, get that suspended disbelief, the suspense of disbelief, and and so I really thought it was well done. And I had just read the 1,000-page book before I saw it, so it was good. Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, The Mist, man, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen that movie, it is so well done. And it just, the dread that is in that movie is really good. Is really, I mean, and then they did the TV series, which I got bored with very quickly. And another one adaptation that came out recently was Ready Player One. And I've read it like 5 times and still love it. I highly recommend reading The Outsiders and then watching the movie. I will look into that and try to do that. I've dropped a third of my frames during this whole thing. Yeesh. The Outsiders. I'll have to write that down. I don't have a pen and paper right now. Or my phone. My wife has my phone. Ready Player One, I read the book, and it was fascinating. And for me, it was nostalgia, 100%. Old video games, old movie references, all stuff from the 1900s, when I was born, way back when. And and then the movie came out, and they changed a lot of it. But even though I would like to see certain aspects and elements that were in the book, in the movie, I thought that the changes they made sense. And the movie was a lot of fun to watch. And I like the spectacle and color and everything of it. It was as big as it needed to be, which is huge. And it's interesting as people make comparisons towards what's happening now in the world and technology and all that, and how I guess somebody is trying to build some sort of universe that's like the one in Ready Player One, and that is crazy. I don't even know what to do with that information. If that actually happens, we already have certain aspects of it already in video games, where it's a giant world. World of Warcraft is one of the biggest, and then Elder Scrolls keeps growing, and you get these giant worlds. But to combine all of this, and this planet over here and this planet over there, No Man's Sky is doing that without meshing any other franchises or anything like that. It's just their own game, but it's huge. And you can get lost in it, for sure. Outsiders is a movie about ghetto versus the rich kids and gangs, and some people from the slums trying to get out, but they lose friends in gang fights along the way and are chased by the police that don't care their side because of the rich kids. If you have ever heard the quote, "Stay golden, pony boy," that is from The Outsiders. Yes. Is that The Outsiders? Is that a movie from the 1980s? I think it is. I'm trying to think of who's in that. Is that Emilio Estevez? Let me look it up. Matt Dillon. C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon. That's right, it's Matt Dillon. Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Diane Lane, Leif Garrett. Wow, Tom Waits. Wow, there's a lot of people in that movie. Yeah, I have not seen it, but I've seen like the cover and stuff like that. Yep, 1983. Yeah, The Outsiders. Lord of the Rings. I thought they did a good job with their adaptations for Lord of the Rings, not so much The Hobbit. Don't know why they had to take a book that's this thick and make that into 3 movies, including a final movie that was that took place basically after the happenings in The Hobbit. Sometimes I think they just kind of go a little too nuts. And then they make millions of dollars and they're like, ha ha ha. Even though it might not be the best. Transformers. Anyways. So, Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of all time. I've read the book like 10 times. I need to read it again. I haven't read it in a long time. I love reading through that and The Lost World. The Lost World was one of those sequels. The book was good. I enjoyed the book a lot. The movie, when you have a scene where there's a girl who is a gymnast and you can see basically the gymnastics bars as she's flipping around and then kicks a velociraptor, you lose me a little bit. Kind of like in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where they went more the action route than the fear route, which was really unfortunate because I feel like Jurassic Park movies need to have that, that intense fear element to it, which they did in Jurassic World. That was more actiony, yes, but they definitely had a lot of scenes that were meant for that intense, like, oh my gosh, type of feel. The original, obviously, masterfully done, in my opinion. Man, the movie's good, don't get me wrong, but the movie's better. I'm telling you, watch it this week and read it. Tell me what you think. If I've got time, I will do that. Maybe Sunday night, because I don't work. Maybe Sunday night I'll try and start. I'll have to find the book. Get the book. The book is written by S.E. Hinton. Make sure you get the right one, not a remake, by the way. Yes, of course. Oh, remakes. Sometimes they're really really good, and sometimes they should have stayed in the shadows and never been made. And okay, so here's one thing that I hear a lot is you see all these movies that are remakes, reboots, sequels, prequels, based in a universe that already exists in film, that kind of stuff. And so you hear, oh, there's nothing new in Hollywood. There's nothing, it's all sequels and remakes and blah blah blah. But that's because that's what's advertised the most. That's because they're such big budget films, and because they made so much money with their other 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 films, they have more of a budget to be able to market. But there are so many movies that come out that are so under the radar and are amazing. And you just don't hear about them as much because they're smaller movies. They don't have as big of a budget. They don't have a great marketing, budget to work with. And so, you get movies. There are movies that I'm really looking forward to watching that I have not gotten a chance to yet, such as Sorry to Bother You, 8th Grade. There's a few other ones that have just recently come onto home video is what we used to call it, because it was VHS tapes when I was a kid. So it was home video. Come to home video. Now it's DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K. Book is better. Remake movie, that wasn't as good. King Kong. Maybe that's just me. A good remake was Jungle Book. Okay, I have not watched the Jungle Book movie yet. I've wanted to, I just haven't had time. Again, time is something that I don't have a ton of. As a father of 3 kids and husband to my wife. But when I do get time, my wife and I will have more time to watch movies and TV shows coming up because her schedule is shifting. And so I'm going to be able to spend more evenings on the weekend with her, just hanging out, which is going to be lovely. So my schedule stream-wise will be changing as well after Thanksgiving. So stay tuned for that. All that craziness. Let's see here. King Kong, I liked. Peter Jackson's was pretty good. I liked it. I liked Skull Island. And it was what it was. The Godzilla movie that they did, I really liked. I like that they're combining that universe together. That's really fun. I've always been a person that likes to connect universes together. So you see like little pieces of this universe over here that affect this universe, and you're like, oh, they're actually connected. I think that's part of the reason why I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is because of that interconnectedness and how it's like, oh, but they went absolutely crazy. They were like, hey, let's take this universe. Hey, here's some C4. Let's blow it up. And then you're going to have 72 TV shows and 4 movies coming out a year, and everybody's going to have to keep up with it, and like web comics and all that kind of stuff. And you're just like, this is too much, but I love it. And I think they've done a lot better of a job with it than DC has. I liked the Dark Knight trilogy a lot. I'm a big fan of the Dark Knight trilogy. The acting and stuff is phenomenal. Heath Ledger absolutely deserved the Oscar that he got for playing the Joker. That was one of the most incredible acting jobs I've ever seen. It blew my mind. Like, I told people, I'm like, if I did not know that Heath Ledger was the Joker, I wouldn't have been able to figure it out watching him in the movie. I would have had no idea. Well, you might even be able to get the kids to watch Jungle Book, as it's good for kids, yes. I just realized after the stream that how many movies, books I've seen, read, and how much games I play. I really need to get a life. Jeez. Man, let me tell you. You can see behind me, right over here, these are steel books. And that's just a small smattering of movies that I have. I am a collector, and so I have many, many Blu-rays and 4K and stuff like that. It's just my nerd thing that I like. I like movies. I want to make movies. That's definitely something I want to do in the future. So, yeah. Holy cow! It's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock already. What? How did that happen? Holy cow! That's amazing. All right. Well, let's. Unless anybody has anything else you want to talk about, any movies or anything like that, we are going to end this vodcast for the week. And give me about 10-15 minutes like usual, and then I'll be back on. I'll be playing, I believe, Fortnite tonight. I think my brothers might be on tonight, which should be fun. It's always fun to play with them. But yeah, holy cow. Yeah, it's been an hour. There are nights when I do this and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Tonight was one of those. I had no idea. I was like, and then of course I talk to my wife and she gives me good ideas. So she's the mastermind. I'm just the guy who talks a lot. So yeah, and this, I need to figure out this dropped frame issue. I think I need to restart the computer and everything. So I'm going to do that. Well, online I own and have watched 273 movies, not including TV shows, the ones I've seen in movies or on TV once or twice. 273, that's admirable. That is admirable. All right. I think our online catalog on Vudu is about 1,200. I want to say. Something like that. And I have almost every one of them in physical form as well. But we don't have room in our house right now, so they're mostly in boxes. I have some stacked up over here that I need to eventually put away, but I just have not yet. But I play a lot of Fortnite. I own 94 books that I've read, not including ones in school. Nice. Please, mister. Yeah, I'll be back on in just a little bit. We can play some Fortnite. If my brothers jump on and stuff, then I'll, depending on what we got going on. I might jump over with them. But yeah, I'll be back on shortly. I know that I'm behind on, like, the stream is definitely behind where I am in real life human talking at the moment. So I'm trying to delay just a second. But yeah, at 7 o'clock, that's an hour. That's an hour. Holy cow. That was amazing. 10-15 minutes, I'll be back on. I need to eat something else. I did not eat enough for dinner. I'm going to try and fix this dropped frame rate issue, because I'm at almost 100,000 dropped frames throughout this whole thing, which is over 40%. That's not good. But thank you for joining me and for sticking. Oh my gosh, I feel dumb. Sticking it out through the freezes and all that kind of stuff. I've seen way more than that off TV, though. That's just what I own in library. Yes. Totally get it. Absolutely.